When it comes to creative work, it's easy to get distracted, bored, uninspired, or unmotivated. There are projects and things we say we want to do, but we never get around to doing them. This can be due to a lack of time, lack of skill, or just using the wrong methods. But to be a productive, creative person, you need to figure out how to get shit done. And over the years, I've spent countless hours and iterations working on improving my own personal workflow. And I've distilled them down into a few central concepts that I do that make me a more productive photographer. This allows me to complete all my projects on time, consistently improve in the craft itself, and gives me peace of mind from not wasting time on the trivial many. And no, you don't need to be a photographer to use them. Let's start with consistent creativity. The issue that I see many creatives struggling with is they simply can't be consistent. It's a common trope of the modern artist to flip-flop projects, have their head in the clouds, and only working when they're inspired. This, in my opinion, is a myth. There is a way to be consistent with your creativity, and you don't need to wait to be inspired to do the work. Let's start small. If you want to be consistent with your art, you need to build a habit of doing something every day. This can mean taking photos, editing photos, playing music, whatever the task at hand is. You first have to identify the input. What is the thing I need to do to get better? Where are my weaknesses? And where do I need to improve? If you don't identify the thing you need to do, you don't know where to start. So pick. It can be taking photos, editing photos, reading or writing, whatever the skill you want to build is. And I would recommend to keep it simple. One thing. If you try to focus on too many things at once, you get nothing done. Once you've identified your input, figure out a time where you can do that thing every day. This is how we begin building the habit of being more productive and creative. I would recommend to keep the bar low at first. Think 15 minutes of reading, 15 minutes of writing. Pick whatever amount seems appropriate for you, but make sure it's a quota you can actually fulfill. This is because most people set the bar too high. It's okay to have big goals, but if it's not something you can reasonably achieve on the day-to-day yet, then you're simply setting yourself up for failure. Big things are built by small improvements over long periods of time, which means start small, worry about the rest later. Next, you have to start today. Now that you know what you need to do, there is no reason to wait for tomorrow. This is another danger point for most people. They set a goal and say, I'll do it tomorrow. Guess what happens? They never do it. So make it a point to start today, start now. This is your chance because simply by watching this video gives you a catalyst to move forward. And remember, it's just 15 minutes. Once you're able to get through the first few days, it will get easier. It may seem hard right now because we're just building the habit. But once the habit is formed, you will begin to do it on your own. And eventually you'll get to the point where it feels weird if you don't do the thing. So write it down on a post-it note, circle it, star it, set reminders in your phone. Do what you need to do to not forget, and actually prioritize it. From today on, building this habit is the most important thing in your life. Now, it might not actually be, but we want to treat it with that kind of importance because that's what will actually make us prioritize and do the thing. Through this prioritization, we become consistent. And getting better is an inevitable result of consistency. So if you wish to be a more productive creator, let's first start with consistency. Next up is eliminating distractions. Now that we have a system in place, the next step to becoming more productive is eliminating distractions. Phone use is a silent killer for many creatives. Most of us know inherently that too much phone use is a problem, but we still do it anyways. There's a part of us that simply can't resist scrolling, swiping, and looking at our feeds. But if there's anything that will kill your productivity, it's consumption. One of my favorite quotes that I try to keep in the back of my head is to create more than you consume. This helps me a lot because it actually keeps me focused on making things. And I think for any artist, this is important. You don't have to eliminate your consumption entirely, but you have to make sure that you are creating more than you are consuming. This is because of two big reasons why phones will kill your art. 1. People will justify their social media usage as research. 2. People underestimate just how much time they actually spend on their phones. Let's first break down social media as research. This is the most common excuse you'll hear from creatives about social media usage. People will say that scrolling on Instagram gets them inspired or motivated to create something. I think it's a load of horseshit. It's of my personal belief that you can do the work regardless of motivation or inspiration or really how you're feeling. This is because the creative muscle is built by doing creative things. If you need to go to Instagram or TikTok to start your creative cycle, you're doing it wrong. When you spend time scrolling, you're only teaching yourself how to consume more and consume better. You are building yourself to become a better consumer, not creator. And this is the last thing you want to do as a creative person because you're spending less time developing your own ideas and more time looking at others. But what will actually teach you the most and where you'll actually learn the most is by applying your own ideas and doing something, making something. That's what actually builds the creative muscle. doing things. The second reason why lowering phone use is so important is because people don't actually realize how much time they're spending on their phones. The average person spends 4 to 6 hours a day. If you calculate it, that's roughly 16 to 25% of your day. And if you extend that long term, that's a quarter of your entire life. And when you calculate it that way, you begin to realize just how much time you're actually wasting. And when you reach the end of your life, I don't think you'll be saying, I wish I spent more time on my phone. So the solution, like many solutions, is quite simple. You don't have to eliminate your phone entirely, but you have to be smart about when you're using your phone. Here are the 3 most important time periods to stop using your phone. 1. Before you go to sleep. 2. After you wake up. 3. While you're doing work. Bonus is when you're spending time with other people. If you can stop or lower your phone usage during these time periods, you'll be 10 times more productive. Because it's all about Pareto. The Pareto principle states that 80% of the consequences come from 20% of the causes. It is 1 distraction, not 10, that is killing your productivity. If you want to be more productive, you need to lower your distractions. And there's 1 distraction that is killing you more than pretty much 80% of the other stuff, which is your phone use. And so this is actually a good thing. This means we only need to focus on lowering and eliminating 1 thing, our phone use, not 10 different things. And tying this back together, before we go to bed, after we wake up, and while we work are the most important times when we should lower our phone use. So let's get into before we go to bed and after we wake up. These time periods are extremely important because what you think about before you go to bed determines what you think about when you wake up. You see, it's a common misunderstanding that when we sleep, our entire system shuts down. But your mind actually remains remarkably active while you are asleep. And it's oftentimes our mind is subconsciously working on solving our problems in the background. Now, I'm not 100% clear on the science behind it, but you can do a quick Google search and you'll find what you need. But think of it like this. Your mind works to solve creative problems subconsciously. And it's oftentimes that when I wake up with a good idea. That means I was thinking about something when I was asleep, or I had just solved a problem during my sleep, or whatever. This is also why you'll often have good ideas when you're on walks. When it comes to creative work, it's when you actually distance yourself from the creative work when you actually start to solve and figure problems out. And the same thing happens when you sleep. This is also why we get the common phrasing, I'll sleep on it. So understand that if you fill your brain with social media poison right before you go to bed, that's what your brain is going to be thinking about. And that's what will affect you the moment you wake up as well. So that's the fundamental compulsion. When people wake up, the first thing they reach for is their phones. And I get it, you have an alarm you have to turn off, but understand the concept behind it. The thing you do when you first wake up is telling your brain what you are prioritizing in your life. So if I wake up and I grab my phone, I'm telling my brain 3 things. 1. My phone is important. 2. What other people are doing is important. 3. This is what I should care about. And this leads to many other life problems than simply not being productive. It's also a big factor into why people care so much about other people's opinions. It's because they've subconsciously told themselves that those things are important. So that's great, Andre. I get it now. Phones suck. But how do I actually start lowering my phone usage to become a more productive creator? Here's one simple hack I use to prevent phone use before bed and after I wake up. I leave my phone on the far side of my desk so I can't reach it. You can do this or you can leave it in another room or whatever you want. But for me, this has been a game changer. The physical limitation literally prevents me from building a bad habit. And after a few weeks, I've completely gotten used to it. Because when the phone is there, you want to grab it, you want to reach for it, and then you realize you've spent an hour looking at your phone in bed and you haven't even gone to sleep yet. But if you try this, it'll deny you the opportunity of doing so in the first place. And after a few weeks, you'll get used to it. Now, I rarely feel the need or urge to check my phone. So you can use this trick when you're doing work as well. It seems simple, but it's true. Hide your phone while you're working and you'll be more productive. There simply is no reason for you to be on your phone while you're doing creative work. Because the minute you start scrolling, your output per unit of time goes down. This is most important during the hour I call the focus hour or the creative hour. So let's get into that, the focus hour. The focus hour is the single most important hour of your day. It's when you are the most productive, your mind is the sharpest, and you create your best work. It's the period of time when your output per unit of time is the greatest. So if we're thinking about it logically, this is the hour where we should be prioritizing, and this is the hour where we should be doing our most important work, because it's when we're going to get our best results. 1 ultra-productive hour is more effective than 6 mediocre hours. For example, in photography, the single greatest most important hour is quite obvious. It's golden hour. Many of you know, but for those who don't, golden hour is the hour surrounding sunset. It's the time of day when lighting is the best and colors are great. So golden hour is a priority for most photographers because that's when we'll get our best photos. Now, this doesn't mean that you don't learn and you don't take photos during other times of the day, but this is the hour that we want to prioritize. And so you may not be a photographer, but all disciplines have a focus hour. It may be in the morning or it may be at midnight, but chances are you probably know the time of day where you absolutely kill it. So you can have a focus hour that is based on two things. One, circumstance, like photography, or two, mental state when you are the most focused. If you want to find your focus hour, ask this one question. If I could only be productive for 1 hour in my day, when would it be? That is your focus hour. And this focus hour is now your priority. This is the hour when you say no to everything. No commitments, no engagements, no hangouts. Because now that you understand how valuable this hour is, why would you spend it doing anything else? The focus hour means that you could technically work only during this hour and still be insanely productive. You are getting the most bang for your buck time-wise. And this 1 hour every day over the course of a lifetime will add up, which also means that you can get good at whatever you want with just 1 hour a day. So here are 3 simple steps to mastery. 1. Find the hour where you get the most of your time. 2. Make it a habit to do that thing every day during that hour. 3. Be diligent and reap the benefits of your progress. So let's wrap this up. To be a massively more productive creative person in 2024, you first start with consistency. Find a thing to do every day and do it. Then begin eliminating distractions, mainly your phone, before you go to bed, after you wake up, and while you work. You do this by hiding your phone and setting limiters on the apps that you don't want to use. Then, prioritize your focus hour. This is when you are at your best, your mind is the sharpest, you are the most intuitive and most creative. Do these 3 things and I promise you, you'll be massively more productive this year. So anyways, I hope this video could help you in some way. If it did, leave a comment down below on what helped you. And if you're interested, I'm currently giving out free 4x6 prints. You can get it in the link down below, and I will see you guys in another video. Thanks as always. Peace.